Okay, so welcome. We're now recording session 7. All right, so we've got a good lineup today. Let's see. So we got Laura on there. I had the Zoom set up so that we've automatically turned off your video. So if you want to sort of share a little personality, that would be good. And go ahead and turn those on. So I'm gonna go back. Escape. Let me go back and start to share screen now. Okay, share screen. Let me get my slides up, and here we go. All right, so here we are, session 7, charting process behavior. Just remember, don't use just your email address. Go ahead and put your real name. Put down whether you're a green belt, black belt, or transactional green belt, and where you're dialing in from. Let me go ahead and move forward here. So here we are in the class. Let me get my stylus here. If I can remember where I put it. I guess I'm not. Oh, okay, there we go. Back in here. All right, let me get my stylus back on here. Annotate. I'm going to draw. Okay, so we're here. We're talking about session 7. You guys have already turned in your tool plans. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. This week we're going on to session 8, which is the first session of Analyze. So that's what we'll be talking about next time. All right, so let's go ahead and move on here. And let's go ahead back to mouse. All right, so here's our scorecard for this week. Things looking pretty good. So we're tracking pretty well here as far as the percent correct go. On time, pretty much identical to the historical average. Let me go ahead and clear off the markings from last. So we're looking, so online attendance still sort of sloping down. So what are we at? We're at 15. Looks like we're about the same as last week, about half the class on. So things are looking good so far, keeping track of things from a measurement standpoint. All right. So just remember, we've been building our greenbelt story as we go along. We've been through define. You now guys have now completed the measure sections. You ought to have a good handle on what your story is, at least through those 2 phases of the DMAIC process. But what I want to do is I want to come up to our tool plan. This was a little exercise that we had you guys do just to think through what your tools might be. I'm going to ask in a minute that we do a little chat room exercise. And I'm going to break you guys into chat rooms. We'll have like 5 chat rooms, so it'll be 3 persons in each chat room. And what I'm going to ask when you go into those chat rooms, 1 person in each chat room should share your tool plan. So go ahead and talk about your tool plan to the other 2 people in the chat room. The other people there, the other 2 are going to help you. They're going to critique. They're going to suggest maybe improvements or other tools or other things you might think about, especially if you're struggling with your tool plan. One thing that I get a lot is people will walk into my office or they'll call me up and they'll say, hey, Eric, I'm having trouble getting started on my project. I don't really know where I'm going. And one thing I'll do is I'll walk through their tool plan a little bit with them by asking them questions about what they're doing in their project or what they think their project might look like. So I'm going to walk through a little made-up tool plan right now. So from the define phase, everybody has to do the first tool, which is a project charter. So you've already got 1 of your 10 tools done. You're going to take your project charter draft, you're going to go ahead and clean that up. Another tool that's really typical is in the define phase to get a handle on the process. To do that, maybe what you want to use is some sort of flow chart. Here I just picked a value-added flow charts. You're going to show the value-added versus the non-value-added steps in your flow chart. And you're just going to have some way of marking those, maybe color-coding them, so they're differentiating the things that are adding value, those things that are not adding value. In the measurement phase, maybe a good thing to get a handle as to what the inputs are. So if you got some big problem or issue that you said you're defined, I say, okay, what are the things that are inputs into that problem? And I do a fishbone or a cause and effect diagram maybe as one of the tools that you can do for that. Once I've identified what maybe some of the causes or the problems are, I might want to come up with some sort of operational definition for my measure. So if I've come up and said, okay, it's customer wait time, well, how do I operationalize that? Well, I'm going to measure the time from a person walks into the store to the time they close their transaction at the register, so when the register closes. And that would be one way to operationalize customer waiting time, for example. Next thing in analyze, I might say, okay, well, what are potential solutions or ways that I can address this waiting time issue? So I might get some of the employees together and actually hold a little brainstorming session, and that could be one of the tools that I apply. The next thing I might want to do is I might say, okay, is there some sort of limit on the waiting time that I want to give my employees? So a lot of retail operations or pizza delivery services might say, okay, if you wait more than 15 minutes, your pizza is going to be free. Well, you want to know whether you can actually make that guarantee or that warranty to your customers. So you might want to run a single sample t-test against that time spot. So you get a bunch of times, you got a distribution on the times, waiting times that maybe you've collected, maybe for 20 or 30 or 50 different people, you got the waiting times, and you want to see if with 95% confidence, you can offer them a 15-minute guarantee. So that might be a simple single sample t-test you could run on that from your analyze phase. For improvements, you might decide that, okay, one way that we can improve our response time to customers is we might use a 5S technique of systematic arrangement. Okay, so that's the second S of the 5 S's. That would be the tool I would use. I'm going to put my tools up on a shadow board or something. There's going to be a systematic arrangement that I'm going to use as a tool. Right? I might also want to say another improvement is I've identified a more even deeper sort of root cause is there's no way to capture suggestions from the employees. I might want to create a suggestion board. Maybe this is a simple thing where I've got Post-it notes that are suggestions for improvements. I've divided the suggestion board into 3 parts. One part is new suggestions. One is suggestions that are being implemented or in the process of being analyzed. And then a third section of the suggestion board is actually suggestions that have been improved. This is a great visual management tool to get a suggestion system going. Then from a control standpoint, maybe I want to do some standard work. This is documenting what the new improved process is that I've developed. Right, just a standard process documentation. And then finally, I think a real good control tool might be for the team or the workplace to have what's called a daily huddle. So they would stand around and sort of talk about what these suggestions were or what happened during the last shift in order to understand how they can do things better. That would be a real simple example of the 10 tools or something that you can sort of put together real fast. And this gives you something to target as you go through and do your project. Okay? Any questions about the 10 tools that I can answer before we throw you guys into a chat room? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put you into a chat room. And let me see if I can do this. Breakout rooms. And I'm going to set us up for 4 breakout rooms. And Chester, if you could sort of stay with me, and at least I'll have somebody to talk to. We're going to throw everybody else into these breakout rooms. So your job in the breakout room, pick one person to talk about and share your tool plan, and the other 2 help and critique. I'm just going to give you guys 3 minutes in the chat room, so it's going to be relatively short. I'm actually going to set this up on my handy-dandy phone timer here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that. And actually, I'll give you 4 minutes because it'll take you a little while to get started. So 4 minutes in the chat room. There we go. I'm going to go breakout room and open all rooms. So go ahead in your chat rooms.
Hi.